Number 1. AITA for refusing to give up my seat on a flight to a pregnant woman? So, this happened last week, and I'm still reeling from the backlash. I, 28F, was flying home after a long business trip. I'd been working 12-hour days for 2 weeks straight, and my company had booked me a first-class ticket as a reward for closing a major deal. I was exhausted, both mentally and physically, and I was really looking forward to the comfort of first class for the 6-hour flight. When I boarded the plane, I settled into my seat, ready to relax. A few minutes later, a visibly pregnant woman, maybe around 7 to 8 months along, and her husband approached me. She was holding an economy ticket and asked if I would be willing to swap seats with her so she could have more space and comfort during the flight. Here's where things got complicated. I have a chronic back condition, scoliosis, that makes sitting in cramped spaces for long periods extremely painful. I'd specifically requested an aisle seat in first class to stretch my legs and avoid aggravating my condition. I politely explained this to the woman and her husband, but they didn't seem to care. The husband got visibly upset and said, "Come on, my wife is pregnant. She needs this seat more than you do. Can't you just be a decent human being?" I felt terrible, but I stood my ground. I told them I was sorry, but I couldn't switch seats due to my medical condition. The flight attendants got involved, and after some back and forth, they offered the couple a small upgrade to premium economy, but they refused, insisting on my first-class seat. The husband then started loudly complaining to other passengers, calling me selfish and heartless. A few people around us chimed in, saying things like, "It's just a seat. Why can't you help her out? And pregnancy is harder than a bad back." By this point, I was on the verge of tears. I felt like everyone was ganging up on me, and I started questioning whether I was in the wrong. But I also knew that giving up my seat would mean hours of excruciating pain for me. The flight eventually took off, and I stayed in my seat. The pregnant woman and her husband glared at me the entire flight, and I could hear them whispering about how rude I was. When we landed, the husband even made a snide comment as they walked past me. "Thanks for nothing. Hope you enjoyed your selfish little luxury." Now, I'm torn. On one hand, I feel like I had a valid reason to keep my seat. On the other hand, I can't shake the guilt of not helping a pregnant woman who clearly needed more space. My friends are divided. Some say I was justified, while others think I should have just sucked it up and switched seats. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to give up my first-class seat to a pregnant woman? TLDR, I refused to give up my first-class seat to a pregnant woman due to a chronic back condition, and now I'm being called selfish and heartless. AITA? Number 2. AITA for refusing to share my inheritance with my siblings? Hey Reddit, I need some outside perspective on this because my family is divided, and I'm starting to question if I'm in the wrong here. Here's the story. My dad passed away unexpectedly 6 months ago. It was a devastating loss for our family, and we're all still grieving. He was a hardworking man who built a successful business from the ground up. Growing up, my siblings and I were always close, but as we got older, life pulled us in different directions. I'm the youngest of 3, with an older brother, 32, and an older sister, 30. I'm 27. When my dad's will was read, we were all shocked. He left the bulk of his estate, his business, properties, and a significant amount of savings to me. My siblings received smaller inheritances, but mine was by far the largest. My dad's reasoning, as stated in the will, was that I had been the most involved in his business over the years. I worked for him part-time during college, and eventually joined the company full-time after graduating. I've been managing a lot of the day-to-day operations for the past 5 years, and my dad often said he saw me as the one who would carry on his legacy. My siblings, on the other hand, pursued different paths. My brother is a musician and has never shown interest in the family business. My sister is a teacher and lives in another state. They've both been supportive of my role in the company, or so I thought. When the will was read, my brother and sister were visibly upset. They argued that the inheritance should have been split equally, regardless of who was involved in the business. They said it wasn't fair for me to get so much more just because I worked with Dad. I tried to explain that this was Dad's decision, not mine, and that I had no control over how he chose to divide his estate. But they weren't having it. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, my brother and sister approached me with a proposal. They asked me to redistribute the inheritance so that we would all receive equal shares. They argued that it was the fair thing to do, and that Dad wouldn't have wanted us to fight over money. I was taken aback. I told them that I couldn't just give away what Dad left me, especially since a lot of it is tied up in the business. I also pointed out that their inheritances, while smaller, were still substantial and could set them up for a comfortable future. They didn't take it well. My brother accused me of being greedy and said I was putting money over family. My sister said I was being selfish and that I didn't deserve the inheritance because I only worked for Dad. That really hurt because I've put a lot of time and effort into the business, and it felt like they were dismissing my contributions. Since then, things have been tense. My siblings have been cold toward me, and my mom, who inherited my dad's personal assets but stayed out of the business, has been trying to mediate. She thinks I should consider sharing more with my siblings to keep the peace, but she also understands that it was dad's decision and respects that. Here's where I might be the AH. I've refused to give them any more money or assets. I feel like I'm honoring my dad's wishes by keeping what he left me, but at the same time, I hate that this is causing a rift in our family. My siblings are now saying I've ruined our relationship and that I'm being unfair. They've even started involving other family members, who are now pressuring me to do the right thing. So, Reddit, AITA, for refusing to share my inheritance with my siblings? Should I give in to keep the peace, or am I justified in standing my ground? TLDR, my dad left me the majority of his estate, including his business, because I was the most involved in it. My siblings receive smaller inheritances and are now demanding that I redistribute the money so we all get equal shares. I refused, and now they're saying I'm greedy and ruining our family. AITA? Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up. Thanks to everyone who took the time to share their thoughts. I've read through most of the comments, and while opinions are mixed, I've decided to sit down with my siblings and have an open conversation about this. I'll also consult a financial advisor to see if there's a way to compromise without jeopardizing the business. I'll keep you all updated. Number 3. AITA for telling my best friend she can't bring her boyfriend on our girls' trip? Hey Reddit, I'm in a bit of a sticky situation with my best friend, and I need to know if I'm being unreasonable. Here's the story. I've been best friends with Sarah, 28F, since we were in middle school. We've been through everything together, breakups, job losses, family drama, you name it. We've always made it a point to take a girls' trip once a year to reconnect and have some fun. This year, we planned a week-long trip to Hawaii. It's been in the works for months, and we were both super excited. Here's where the problem starts. Sarah started dating her boyfriend, Jake, about 6 months ago. They've been inseparable since they got together, which is great for her, but it's starting to feel like she's prioritizing him over everything else. She's canceled plans with me multiple times to hang out with him, and whenever we do get together, she spends half the time texting him or talking about him. I've tried to be understanding because I know how exciting new relationships can be, but it's been frustrating. A few weeks ago, Sarah dropped a bombshell. She wants to bring Jake on our girls' trip. She said he's never been to Hawaii and thinks it would be a great opportunity for him to experience it. She also said it would be more fun if he came along because he's so much fun to be around. I was stunned. This trip was supposed to be about us reconnecting and having some quality time together just like we always do. Bringing her boyfriend would completely change the dynamic. I told Sarah that I wasn't comfortable with Jake coming on the trip. I explained that this was supposed to be a girls' trip and that I was looking forward to spending time with just her. She got defensive and said I was being selfish for not wanting Jake to come. She argued that he wouldn't interfere with our time together and that we'd still have plenty of opportunities to hang out, just the two of us. I disagreed and told her that having him there would make it feel like a couple's trip, not a girls' trip. Sarah didn't take it well. She accused me of not supporting her relationship and said I was being unfair by excluding Jake. She even suggested that I was jealous of their relationship, which couldn't be further from the truth. I'm happy for her, but I don't think it's unreasonable to want to keep our annual tradition just between us. Since then, things have been tense between us. Sarah has been giving me the cold shoulder, and she's started involving our other friends, who are now pressuring me to let Jake come, so we can all have a good time. Some of them have even said I'm being controlling, and that I should just suck it up for Sarah's sake. Here's where I might be the AH. I've stood my ground and told Sarah that if she brings Jake, I won't go on the trip. I've already paid for my share of the accommodations and flights, and I'm not willing to spend a week feeling like a third wheel. Sarah says I'm being unreasonable and that I'm ruining what was supposed to be a fun trip. So, Reddit, AITA for telling my best friend she can't bring her boyfriend on our girls' trip? Should I just let him come to keep the peace? Or am I justified in wanting to keep this tradition just between us? TLDR, my best friend wants to bring her new boyfriend on our annual girls' trip. I told her I wasn't comfortable with it and that it would change the dynamic of the trip. She's now upset and accusing me of being selfish. AITA? Edit. Thanks for all the responses, everyone. I've read through most of the comments, and I've decided to have a heart-to-heart with Sarah. I'll try to explain my perspective again and see if we can come to a compromise. Maybe we can plan a separate trip with Jake another time. I'll keep you all updated on